Hey guys, it's Alexis. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be talking to you guys about this video today. It's kind of personal. A lot of it has to do with my story, so to speak. This has a lot to do with some of my history. And if you guys travel around a lot, or if you know people who travel, I would highly recommend watching this or sharing it, because some of these are small little gems. I mean, a lot of them are probably, actually no, all of them are pretty well known, but they are very near and dear to my heart, and I'm so excited. Anyway, before we start though, if you're new here, hi, I'm Alexis. I'm a military spouse, I'm a dog mommy, and I am a Disney fanatic. So if any of that stuff interests you, I would highly recommend hitting that little red subscribe button down there, along with the bell notification icon to be notified anytime I upload new content. So go ahead and do that, I'll wait. Okay, good, awesome. So, based off the title of today's video, these are all of my favorite amusement parks that aren't Disney. And I'm just gonna give a little bit of history behind why they're my favorites, why I think you guys should visit them, maybe a little bit of history about the park itself, and we'll see where that ends up. So let's just jump right in. So first things first, I do need to warn you, most of these are in the Northeast. I grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, so all of these are around that location, with the exception of maybe one or two. And all of these hold a lot of very near and dear memories from me and my family. First things first, Dorney Park and Wild Water Kingdom. They kind of go hand in hand. This place, I might get a little emotional, I'm sorry. This place is amazing. It's really not that, I mean, it's an amusement park. The only reason I think it's fantastic is because I grew up going to it. I'm pretty sure I was a month or two old the first time I went to this amusement park. My dad's company used to have their summer company picnics out there, so we would go at least once every summer. And it's not really themed, it's just kind of an amusement park. It's in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And the holy grail of it for me when I was younger is this place that has since been renamed, but we're not acknowledging it. It was called Camp Snoopy. Now it's called Planet Snoopy, and I'm just like, Camp sounds better. It was Camp Snoopy. It was themed after the Peanuts. It had the little kid, it was the little kid part of the park, of the dry park. And it was so much fun. And they would have Snoopy and Charlie Brown and Sally and Linus, and they'd have a bunch of those guys come out in the big character costumes and walk around. That was the first roller coaster I ever rid on. And right just outside of Camp Snoopy was quite possibly the coolest thing ever. You remember the Berenstain Bear books? They lived in a tree house, a house that was built into the tree. And Dorney Park, for years, had this just outside of their little kid part at Camp Snoopy. So, and you could go inside, and they had stories built up inside this thing. So they had the main living area and the kitchen, and you could look up. Depending on the height of the people around you, you might be able to get to the second story, which had some of the bedrooms. But it was really cool, and I loved the Berenstain Bears, both the books and the TV show that came afterwards. In fact, I remember that was one of the things that I checked out of the public library a lot, was those books and VHSs. So to have this replica there was amazing. For my little kid brain, it was the equivalent of seeing Cinderella's castle for the first time. Except not to a grand of scale, because I'm pretty sure if little me had seen Cinderella's castle at 5, I probably would have combusted. So, but you get the point. It was amazing. And then they had this water park attached to it, Wild Water Kingdom. I'm sure they still do. I don't know. I haven't been to Dorney Park. I'm pretty sure the last time I was at Dorney Park was for my senior trip. Like where the senior class went. That makes me emotional. I have been out of high school for what, 8 years now? Not 8 years. 6 years. I've been out of high school for 6 years now. It has been 6 years since I went to Dorney. Don't mind me. Okay, the next one. If you haven't heard of this place or been to this place, you've heard of what it manufactures. Good old Hershey Park. Yes, Hershey, Pennsylvania was the original home of the Hershey Chocolate Company. Milton Hershey himself established that town with the factory. Then there's the school, the hospital. And unfortunately, the factory is no longer up and running. They have since outsourced all of their manufacturing to Mexico, which was very sad for us living up there because you would be able to drive through the town and at any point smell the chocolate being made, and it was magical. But you still have a really cool town. They still have all of the factories up, and I think they might even give tours. I don't know. But then you have Hershey Park and the little offshoot of it, Hershey's Chocolate World. Now, Hershey's Chocolate World is open pretty much year-round. It is inside, like right next to the main gates for the amusement park. And if you're from the South, and that doesn't sound familiar, and it blew my mind when we moved down here, but in Pennsylvania and in most places up north, amusement parks are only open from like Memorial Day weekend until sometime in like October. And sometimes even they'll close in between like the beginning of school and when they start doing their Halloween stuff. And then you have places like Hershey who open up for Christmas, like Christmas time, and it's Hershey's Candy Lane. And then they also have this other thing that you can drive through called the Hershey Sweet Lights. I've done both of those. I highly recommend doing both of them. They are beautiful. I love Hershey at Christmas. It's not quite as magical as Disney World at Christmas, because if you've ever been to Disney World at Christmas, you know it's to the nines. But they do it up so beautifully, and everything smells like chocolate, and it's just amazing, and you're freezing, so like hot chocolate all the way. And this place is just, it's another one of those really near and dear to my hearts. I'm pretty sure, I think Hershey Park was the first amusement park I went to after I was born. And I might be able to insert a picture right here of little me crying, screaming and crying at the Hershey Kiss. But there are a lot of rides that varying in intensity. One of my favorite rides is the Reese's Extreme Cup Challenge, and that got put in, I believe, sometime in the late 2000s. And then they also have a water park now. It's the Boardwalk. So it's been interesting in my lifetime alone, and I mean, I'm only 24. I'm not that old. But in the span of 24 years, how much Hershey has expanded their park. It's really cool because they have the amusement park, they have the tour, it's called Chocolate World. And what it does is it takes you through the process of how they go about picking the cocoa beans from Central South America, getting them back, the refining process, how they go about making it into all of the chocolate products from Hershey that we know and love. And over the years, it's been adapted a little bit. Like, I remember when I was really little, you used to be able to walk through it, and it was like you were walking through a rainforest, because that's where it starts its journey. You start your journey in the rainforest where they pick the cocoa beans. And then as I got older, they've added singing cows, and the last time I went, which was in 2017, they had added more computer graphics to it. Like, they have a talking Reese's cup and a talking Hershey bar and a talking chocolate Hershey Kiss. And it's just been interesting to see how it's kind of adapted and changed with the times and the technology that's been different. But at the heart of it, it still remained the same thing. Like, I don't think anything of the actual tour through the chocolate factory has changed. It's just been stuff that's been added over the years. And then they've added like a 4D show, and there's just some other things that are in that it's open all year round that you can enjoy with your family. So I might rank Hershey above Dorney. I might, just because there's so much more history to the local area. And then of course you have like the hospital, the school. There's Indian Echo Caverns really close. So if you're looking to travel there, I could always do a separate video about that. And if you'd be interested in that, let me know in the comment section below. Or if you're interested in knowing more about any of the parks that I'm going to be talking about, leave some questions in the comments below. So because the only criteria for this that I made was that it couldn't be Disney, I'm going to talk Universal. I went once for my 16th birthday. It was my first Disney trip. We also went to Universal. That's when Harry Potter World was new and I could fangirl like no other. I can still fangirl like no other. It's kind of, I mean, now it's gotten to the point where it's not cute anymore. I feel like my mother did about the Backstreet Boys in the early 2000s. So, anyway, moving on. Universal is awesome. I feel like if you're watching this, you've already been there. I really enjoyed what they did with Harry Potter. I am a huge nerd. I mean, there's people out there who are more knowledgeable about stuff than I am. I like to think I know a lot, but there's people out there that take it to the extreme. So, I mean, I could probably win if you challenged me to a trivia, but I don't want to test that because I would say that and then you'd pick like really hard questions and I'd be like, So, but Universal, I would go all day just for Harry Potter, especially now that they've added Diagon Alley. I mean, it was weird. Okay, so we went in December and it's already going to be like a little bit colder, like not like freezing, but not, you know, like the summer. And we were like, it was kind of an overcast day. It wasn't the prettiest. And we were around like the Dr. Seuss land and it was warm. It was overcast, but it was warm. Like we wore shorts that day and we were fine. And then we get into Hogsmeade and like the temperature dropped. Like I don't understand it. Like obviously there's snow over the shops and that like built onto the shops and all that. But it was cold. It was weird. It was really weird. Like, but it fit the theme. So like, I don't know if that was just Mother Nature playing freaky or if it's actually colder in Hogsmeade. But it was weird and it was fantastic. And seeing Hogwarts and Hogsmeade come to life in a way that I can easily access, as opposed to going all the way over to London, which is obviously on my goals. One of my biggest wishes is to go to the Warner Brothers studio over there and do their tour if they still have it. I want to see why they would get rid of it, but that's a huge thing. And so yeah, I pretty much begged and pleaded for this trip for the sole purpose of going to Disney and going to Harry Potter World. And I did not regret it. Of course, there was a bunch of other things that we did. I actually don't know what else we did. We did the Hulk roller coaster, and that was intense. So like back then I didn't wear contacts, and I still kind of don't wear contacts. So like if I'm like squinting at any point during these videos, that's why. But I really I had never worn contacts before at that point. And so I had to take my glasses off a lot during that trip. And I'm pretty sure there's a point on the Hulk ride where like he starts screaming like as you like go off, and the blur of like being shot forward and just the scream and the blur of already not being able to see. And I'm pretty sure that was the worst ride for motion sickness. No, I lied. Second worst ride for motion sickness. The first most ride was the Harry Potter experience ride thing that is inside Hogwarts. You know, like where you're like, it's kind of like you're on Soarin', like with the concept, but like you're like being moved around and like there's Dementors and you're flying with Harry on brooms, and it's a great ride. But if you're prone to motion sickness, I would either say no or just have something for it. Get some medication, get those like motion sickness bracelets or something, because it is intense. But Universal Studios, obviously that's a must. I did a whole video about this. Silver Dollar City, it's special. This is one of the places that we went to on our honeymoon. It's super cute. It's frontier style. It's up in the Ozark Mountains. It's beautiful. It's all hills because Branson, Missouri is just hill. And I said this in my video for Silver Dollar City, but it's like the whole 5 miles to school uphill both ways type thing, like going uphill both ways. You really don't think about it, but because of how the hills are situated within Silver Dollar City, it feels like no matter which way you're going, you're walking uphill. With the only exception of at the very beginning when you have to go down, like you can't go to anywhere, like everything else is down from the main entrance. Other than that, it's like you're walking uphill both ways. But my husband grew up going there, and it's very special to him. And if you want an in-depth thing about our family in Silver Dollar City, I highly recommend going and watching that video. I'll link it right up here. It's a very interesting place. It's very beautiful. It's well done. I have not met a single person who worked there who was mean or just not in a good, like, I feel like anytime I've interacted with anybody who works for Silver Dollar City, they have been in the best mood. And that's something that I thought I would only ever be able to say about Disney. So, it's great. And the theming is awesome. And it holds a lot of family history for my husband. So those feelings that I get at Hershey and Dorney and at the last place I'm going to talk about, he gets at Silver Dollar City. So it's just special to be able to share those moments. Now, this last place that I'm talking about, that is I would honestly probably say it's my least favorite of the parks that I've talked about, just because of personal childhood trauma. This place is called Knobles Amusement Park. It is up in Elysburg, Pennsylvania, settled in the mountains up there. And it is, I believe, I don't know if it's the world's or if it's just America's only, like, the last non-admission amusement park. So, what's cool, I don't even know if you have to pay for parking anymore at all. You might have to pay for parking, but you don't pay for admission. There's not like a ticket booth that you go to and are like, hey, we're paying for 4 people. It's not like that. They do it by carnival. We'll call it the carnival way. I apologize for that. That was a C-130. I live on a military installation. They're loud. So, they do it kind of carnival theme, like esque. You buy tickets, and those tickets are worth so much money, and and so each ride costs a certain amount of money, and you have like a book of tickets, and you pay that way. Now, sometimes, and I've only seen it done like during, like, I think it's like certain weekdays during the summer, you can get a wristband that you can ride free all day, and that's pretty much the equivalent of going to a regular amusement park, but you just get a wristlet and you're like, hey. They also have a water park. It's not that big, but it's fed by a natural spring water. So it's really cold, really cold. And in fact, any time that I've gone where it hasn't been like August, I have not gone. But it has a lot of really cool water slides. They have a really amazing pool. And something else that's really cool about this place is you can actually camp there. They have a campground that is situated like right behind the water park, which means that you can go camping if your family is into that, and then also go swimming and do the rides. And it's very, when I say old-fashioned, I don't mean like it's styled that way, kind of like how Silver Dollar City is. Like, this place has been around forever. Forever. In fact, I think, so it used to be just a picnic grove. This guy bought a bunch of land out there, and it was just a picnic grove. And then he was like, well, you know, what if we added some things? And like, they added some rides, and they added some rides, and they added some things. And it finally became the Knobles that it is today, kind of. Now, you won't find a lot of like high-speed roller coasters at this place. I think there's actually there's only one or two like steel or carbon fiber roller coasters. Pretty much everything else is wooden or it's older. And now to get into the daily dose of childhood trauma, and if you're easily triggered, it's fine. I'm not going to get into detail. It's really not that bad. I just have an overactive imagination. So I'm pretty sure within the first summer of my life, I went to all 3 of the main amusement parks in Pennsylvania. Dorney, Hershey, and Knobles. But it was around when I was 2. My sister was working for a credit union, and that credit union's company picnics, which I talked about this with my dad. If you don't know what a company picnic is, it's pretty much they pick a random weekend, and it's like, hey, we're renting out a pavilion, we're gonna do some things, like admission is included. Like with my dad's one being at Dorney, they paid for, like they gave out tickets, or it was something weird like that. Well, for my sister, it was at Knobles, and I must have been like 2 or 3, and there's this haunted house, and it's really not that bad. It's not, I promise. And if any of you have done it, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's such a sissy. If you've done the haunted house at Knobles, yes, I'm aware that it's not as bad as it seems. However, when you stick a 2 or 3-year-old on that ride and expect nothing bad to happen, you're wrong. So it's not that bad. There's just a lot of jump scares. I don't like jump scares. Like, I can handle psychological thrillers like it's nobody's business. I mean, like, I enjoy that stuff. Like, where it's like, or serial killers. Like, I can handle blood and gore as long as it's not jumping out. Like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when you, like, jump out and, like, I'm like, no. I don't like jump scares. And I don't like jump scares. And I'm sure if you dug up Sigmund Freud himself, he would probably pinpoint this exact part of my childhood as why I don't do scary stuff. So I was like 2 or 3, and there's a lot of jump scares and like, ooh, and like Scooby-Doo type shit in this place. But again, I'm 2 or 3. I don't even think I've watched a Scooby-Doo movie or show at that point. And my mother decided it was a good idea to sit me down on the other side of that doom buggy, even though it wasn't a doom buggy because that's Haunted Mansion, but you get the point, and ride me through this. And there, I don't know if it's there anymore because I haven't done this ride in years. Because it still freaks me out because I get in my head that it's scarier than it is. But I swear it was like this red thing dressed up in like a butler's costume and it just like leaned out and type shit. So, yeah. And I remember closing my eyes that very shortly after, and I skipped a bunch of crap. And I opened my eyes in this room that had, it was a room that was lined with mirrors, and they had like maybe 1 or 2, like it was like a projection of like these green ghosts, and because of the mirrors, like it reflected, like there was a bunch of them in that room. And my mother decided she was gonna be like, "Where are you, Scooby-Doo?" And I was just like, even at 2 or 3, I was like, this chick crazy. Anyway, and then there's just a bunch of other stuff. Like there's this weird, like it's kind of, if you've seen the Scooby-Doo Where Are You episode with where they're on the island and it's the like the tiki head guy. Do you remember that episode? Okay. I think it was like in the 2nd season of Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And they have something like that like pop up out of the tree and it goes, "Ooh!" So I remember that part. And then there's a part where like it goes away from like the creepy haunted stuff and it's just like stuff to scare you, and like you're outside and there's this bus coming towards you, but you don't realize until you're like, so like here's the bus like mounted on the wall and here you are, and it like the lights go on and it blares the horn. Yeah. So all of that to a 2 or 3-year-old is just fantastic, and I was able to do that ride all the time, right? No. I would ride it. I would make them waste the money on tickets for me to ride it. And every time I would get to almost the exact same point and I'd be like, nope. And then I went with a friend after we got into high school. And her and her little sister were like, no, you need to keep your eyes open. And I was like, and obviously I was fine. So all that to say, Knobles is great, it's old, and everything about it is creepy and old. It's also like in the heart of mining, like part of like the mining districts in Pennsylvania, so you have that, and that adds a creep factor. It didn't until I started watching Ghost Adventures. I was completely fine with the fact that I grew up very close to mining country. And then they're like, oh, all this creepy stuff. And then I learned about Centralia and Silent Hill, and I should just do a video all about Pennsylvania and how creepy it is, but I won't. Anyway, okay. Now I'm gonna make 2 add-ons. This is my wish list, where I still want to go. The first, I would love to go to Dollywood. I know it's probably a lot like Silver Dollar City and Knobles, I mean, but it's Dolly Parton. She is queen. And I'm gonna cheat. I said that this was not Disney related, and it's not, except for this very last bit. I want to go to the overseas Disney parks. I'm hoping that within at least the next 5 years, I'll be able to get to at least Paris, maybe Tokyo. I'm sure I can convince my husband to go to Japan. So, that is all that I have in this video. If you liked it and enjoyed my rambling, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. I'm going to say it again, but make sure you're subscribed to my channel and that bell notification icon is clicked so you get notified anytime I upload new content. Comment down below any questions you might have for any of the parks. I will try my best to answer them to the best of my ability, or I'll be able to point you in the right direction of either someone or a website that will. I hope you guys have a great day. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!